How the hell do you start a vlog video? I'm a gaming channel. Hello YouTube, what's going on? My name is uidsea, and today we're doing something that's not gaming. We're going to be doing, so I've been working in retail for 7 years, right? And when you work in retail, you see a lot of things that you don't see in any other job profession, which, you know, everyone says, you know, oh, if you work in this profession, then you're going to see things that are going to blow your mind and this and that. When I was in the Army, I saw this and that. When I worked as a cook, I was this and that. Well, I've been a mechanic and I've been and I've worked in retail. I've seen some weird shit. The thing I think that holds retail differently is that no matter what, all walks of life have to go to retail at some point. You get the lowest of the lows, you get the crackheads and the meth heads, and then you get the highest of the highs, you get CEOs. Eventually they got to go shop somewhere, and they all also want to get out of the house. They want to go find some clothes, get some food, things like that. So all walks of life go to retail, no matter what. No matter what you see, no matter what you do, you're gonna see everyone. I've seen crackheads talking to rocket scientists. I mean, it's ridiculous. But and this is going to be Tales from Retail, and I don't know if I'm actually gonna put a crazy little effect there. I don't think I am because I'm lazy. And so how this is going to work is I'm just going to tell you like one or two stories that I've kind of built up over the years. Like I said, multiple years, and I know there are some people who have some stories that are freaking ridiculous. I've seen stories online. Actually, like seeing a Reddit thread with like, you know, tell me your worst retail story. That is actually what spurred this initially, and I was like, dude, I've been working in it forever. I got some ridiculous stories. So we're gonna actually start off. We're gonna start off pretty hard, right in the motherfucking paint, as Waka Flocka would say. Okay, so when you go into a store, don't bring things from, I don't really even know how to explain it, but okay, so I was working, right? And I work at Walmart. Yeah, stocking shelves, great, love it, fun, so much fun. I love it. It's the greatest job, and it's so emotional. But so we were sitting there and we were stocking something. It was me and my buddy. It was a slow day. We were just kind of, you know, sitting there doing our thing, getting some stuff done because we didn't realistically have anything else to do. And this happened about a month ago, I think. About a month ago. I actually made a video on one of the gaming. I made a little thing on one of the gaming videos on it. And so this lady was walking around. She was walking around for a while. There weren't too many people in the store, so I saw her a few different times, kind of like bouncing around everywhere. And I thought nothing of it because 9 times out of 10, like, especially when I'm stalking, when I'm working, like, I'm zoning into what I'm doing. I don't pay attention to anyone around me until someone says, you know, like, hey, excuse me, can you help me? And then I'm like, oh, shit, I'm still alive. Okay, I thought this was my own personal hell. All right, so this lady was walking around, and she was, she kind of would, like, look at something, look things in my general direction, and then kind of just, like, walk on off and do this and that. And it's like, okay. If you don't look with retail, if you don't ask for help, a lot of the times we're usually too zoned in. Like, that's just me personally, but I've seen it with a lot of other people that I work with too. If you don't ask for help, there's a pretty high chance we're not necessarily intentional, but we will ignore you. Also, depending on the day, if it was a complete shit day, we also just don't want to talk to anyone. I mean, hey, go figure. But everyone has that. So this lady was talking, and she eventually made her way around to me. And I think at the time, like, my buddies were working, but they left and, you know, went to go get some more stuff, and I was just finishing up my cart, doing whatever. And so this lady comes up, and she kind of just stands there, like, not exactly in my way, but like in the aisle enough so that I will have to notice her no matter what. Which, like I said, if you need help, just ask. We're people too. And she looks at something, and then she you know, just keeps on texting or something like that. I think she looks at something else. I think she keeps on texting and looking like that. And she does this like 6 or 7 times, like looking at things next to her, things next to me, things up there, things over there, things down there, and you know. And eventually she comes up to me. She was a good distance, like 30-40 feet away, and she eventually comes up to me, and she's like, oh, excuse me, do you know where the so-and-so is? It was, I forgot what it was. I think I was stalking like drinks or something. Like, I think she was looking for a certain soda or water or something like that. I don't even remember what it was, but that detail's not important. So she says, you know, hey, do you know where such and such is? And as I was going to say it, like, as I was going to say it, she turns her head, she looks at it, and, like, she's already reaching down to grab it. I was like, oh, well, it's right there. And then as, like, she grabs it and picks it up, and she turns and she's like, oh, stop mansplaining to me, and then walks away. And I was like, what? What? I had to look that up. I had to look up what that meant, because I've never heard that in a context other than a parody use outside of the internet. So I had to look up and see what that was. And for those of you who don't know, people can probably accuse me of mansplaining right now, because mansplaining is what, according to, like, the definitions that I found online, it is when a man condescendingly explains something to a woman she may or may not already know. Okay. So, if you were a woman who already knew that, good. Sorry. I don't know. Like, lots of people don't know what that is because lots of people don't spend time on the internet. And, like, that was, like I said, that was the first time I've ever heard something like that outside, because I've seen YouTube videos where they parody it and, like, make fun of it and whatnot, but I've never actually had someone actually say that phrase in real life to me. And it was just a tiny bit awkward. Also, like I said, at the time I didn't know what it was. I was like, oh, okay. I thought she just kind of, like, you know, garbled something and, like, oh, okay, whatever. And so I looked it up, and on break, yeah, I looked it up, and I told one of the guys at work, I was like, dude, she just said this to me, and they were like, well, first off, what is it? And I explained it, and she's like, that's dumb, because, like, I explained the situation, because, you know, if you ask something and then you look and just notice it immediately, I know you can't just, you know, it was like all happening in, like, a matter of a few seconds type thing. So as she noticed it and went to grab it, I was like, oh, it's right there. And then, you know, I guess she thought that I was being condescending to her when she asked me a question. If you ask me a question, I'm still going to answer it, regardless of if you found the answer in the exact same second that I'm explaining it to you. It caught me off guard. You know, it was kind of weird, especially since I'm living in the Midwest right now, and there's really not a lot of, I don't really even know how to say it, like, there's really not a lot of internet stuff that goes on, because, like I said, I've only ever heard of it online, so, but there's never really a lot of that around here. Like, the society is more or less, what's the word, homogenous. Is that a weird word to use? Like, there's not a lot of diversity, which makes a lot of the fucking food bland, but there's not a lot of diversity, and it's really weird when you see something like that, because, and that kind of reminds me more of like when I was in Florida, there was a bunch of people like that, and there were, I guess, people that you would quote-unquote say SJWs, which I'm not even going to explain that whole thing, but there was a lot of that on, like, back in Florida, because, you know, we were quote-unquote progressive, and there were people from all corners of the globe coming to the state and seeing things, and it was a big mixing, a big hodgepodge of cultures and diversity and all that good stuff. But here, we're very, very, like, plain, if that's a right word. Like, we're really plain, and it just caught me off guard, because first off, I wasn't being condescending. I was explaining something. I was just pointing and saying, there it is, essentially, as you also discovered it. So I don't understand that, but oh well, I'm gonna stop harping on the point. Either way, that was pretty dumb. It was just a good way to start off a day. There's always also, like with retail, there's always some stuff that you just notice, and there are things that, like, kind of pass you by in your day. Like, I remember when I first started working, like, in the actual job force, I think I was like cleaning up something on a grocery aisle or something, or I was like stocking something on a grocery aisle, and I saw this kid kind of walk by, and he was kind of staggering. I was like, okay, what the hell's with that kid? Is he like playing around or something? And I looked, you know, I kind of peeked back over, and this kid, it was this little girl, and she was just projectile vomiting all over the floor, and she just kept walking and vomiting through the whole floor, and she made it halfway down, like a full, like the full grocery aisle, and I was like, dude, what the fuck? Because, you know, I was brand new at the time. I was brand new, and I just see that, and, you know, one of, like, the older ones just be like, ah, you'll get used to it, that's tame. It's like, dude, no, ew, this kid's just, like, projectile vomiting more than is in their body, and it just keeps fucking going. Kids disgust me, man. I don't know if I'm ever gonna have kids. Kids disgust me. Which also, actually, if you've ever worked retail, you know, working retail is probably one of the best contraceptives, because you get to see kids at their best, and you get to see kids at their worst. And it really reinforces into your mind, do I really have it in me to bring one of these creatures into life? Do I really have it in me to not only bring this creature into life, but also take care of it and deal with shit like that? No, I don't think I do. Oh, and so this video is actually kind of gone on a little bit. I kind of, you know, was rambling a little bit, but I'll end with this one. I'm only gonna do like 2 or 3 per, so yeah, don't forget to like, subscribe, and all that stuff if you want to see more of these. And let me know your retail experiences. This isn't the end of the video though. So, about a week ago, actually, I was sitting, and we were sitting there stocking again. We just finished, because how it is, at least in Walmart with an unloader, is what we do is we clock in, we unload the truck, whatever it is, like a GM, so that's all the general merchandise, stuff that isn't grocery, so things like paper goods, chemicals, pet food, automotive stuff, sporting goods, things like that. So, we just got out of unloading the truck, got off our break, we went in and we started loading. I think I was stocking like chemicals or something. I was putting bleach away, essentially. I heard over on the next aisle, because this store that I'm working in is pretty quiet and pretty small, so I don't really, you know, there's not a lot of people, so there's not a lot of noise pollution, so you can hear pretty well. Like, I can hear across good 2 or 3 aisles, no problem. And I was sitting there listening, and it was 2 women. It sounded like they were arguing, I think. Discussing, arguing, I couldn't tell. But she was pretty much saying something along the lines of, why do I need a man to have a kid? And I don't know, once again, I don't know if this was parody. I don't know if this was joking. I really don't know if this was like, if this was just whatever, if she was just messing around or whatnot. But she sounded pretty pissed and sounded pretty serious. And it was 2 girls. I don't know if they were together, if they were friends, if they were family, what. But they were sitting there, and one of them was saying, you know, why do I need a man to have a kid? You know, I'm a strong, independent woman, don't need no man. And she didn't actually say that, but that's the gist. And I heard her friend person thing. I heard her, whatever, the other girl, she was saying, like, no, you need a guy. Like, that's biologically how it works. And she's like, no, I don't need none of that. And I actually heard her explain the reproductive cycle to this other girl, and she was like, well, that's, I still don't need a man. And it was really weird. Like, I'm going to assume by her, like, just by hearing by her voice, like, she was mid-20s, early 30s, and it's just kind of odd to me, like, you went through most of your life. Once again, she could be trolling. She could be completely fucking trolling. But going through like a good portion of your life and not knowing how babies are made? A little weird, right? A little weird. Am I the only one? Am I the only one? Am I the only one? Am I the only one who thinks that's weird? I'm talking to a disembodied horse head. It's really fucked up, but yeah. So that's pretty much what we're going to be doing for today. Like I said, I have plenty more stories, but also with you know, years of working there, they kind of get muddled in the back of my brain. So I'm actually going to write a whole bunch more down, and we'll just go from there. But like I said, those were mine. It was a weird start off, but it also kind of like depicted. I feel that these stories also kind of showed that, like, realistically, when you work in retail, you think you're going to see normal things, like, oh, well, this customer tripped and fell or something, or, oh, he didn't know where the oranges were or something. Like, no, dude, we get into, like, socioeconomic things all the fucking time, and it's really weird. I just want to go to work, make my paycheck, and go home, and then I have to deal with people doing all this weird stuff to me, and listening to weird things, and cleaning up untold amounts of vomit off the floor. It's horrible. But if you've ever worked in retail, let me know, and let me know your stories as well. Put them down in the comments. Hell, who knows? I might read some of them. Yeah, I mean, if we get some good ones, I might read some. But yeah, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, rate, like my MySpace, check my LinkedIn. What else is like not big? Follow my Tumblr. I don't have a Tumblr or a LinkedIn or a MySpace. So yeah. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.